1 year ago this week, Taliban insurgents pulled off a daring camp attack on Camp Bastion, a key coalition outpost in Afghanistan that was also Prince Harry's base. The British military released a somewhat sanitised account of that raid, but now the true story is being told by journalist Matthew Akins, who spent the last year investigating the story. And I spoke to Matthew from Kabul yesterday. Good morning, Matthew. Thank you for joining us. Just to set the scene, Camp Bastion was thought to be impregnable, but Taliban fighters dressed in US Army uniforms managed to get in and start destroying aircraft. What was the response?
Good morning, Leila. Well, the response was a massive, night-long battle that pitted US Marines and the British Quick Reaction Force against enemies that were wearing their own uniforms, as well as helicopters and other aircraft in the sky.
It's quite extraordinary, isn't it? Because nobody thought that this camp could be attacked in this way.
Yeah, I mean, the name itself speaks volumes, doesn't it? They thought it was impregnable, and yet 15 men managed to slip under the wire and wreak massive damage.
The people that fought back must have had tremendous difficulty working out who the enemy was.
Yeah, you can imagine that in the dark of night, suddenly you're relaxing in your bunk or finishing up a bit of work at the office, and all of a sudden someone outside is shooting at you, dressed in a US Army uniform. It's dark, there's a lot of noise, explosions, jets burning on the tarmac, and suddenly, even though you're a pilot or a mechanic, you have to pick up a rifle or a pistol and fight for your life.
And of course, Prince Harry is based there. We'll get to that in just a moment. But how did the helicopter gunships work out who the enemy was?
Well, when they took off, they were flying around this very confusing scene. There was smoke and explosions on the airfield. It was a moonless night, so they couldn't even see the horizon. And down below, there was just pinpricks of light from people firing in a mixed-up position on their very own base. So it took them a while to figure it out, but they knew that using their air power would be crucial in ending the battle without losing too many lives. And finally, one helicopter pilot had the idea to get all of the different friendly positions to fire at once on the enemy targets they saw. So down below, he could see sort of pinpricks of light pointing out the target.
And of course, all but one of the Taliban soldiers were killed, and hundreds of millions worth of military equipment was destroyed. But where was Prince Harry? We're told that he was bundled away as part of a plan should an assassination attempt take place.
Yeah, Prince Harry was in a secure location during the attack. It's actually funny because the British papers have taken up the story, and yesterday the UK Ministry of Defence released a statement denying that Harry had been in a safe room or that there was any special arrangements for security. Now, I don't know where they got safe room from. We said secure location. And if you look at the statement of the UK Secretary of Defence, the Defence Secretary, pardon me, Philip Hammond, shortly after the attack, he said that Harry was taken to a secure location and that there had been additional measures in place for security. So kind of contradicts their statement.
Because the Taliban had stated that he was a target, hadn't they?
Yeah, a few days before the attack, they had threatened his life and said they'd do their best to kill or capture him, though we should note that, this kind of attack would have taken months of planning, and the real target of it was the aircraft. But of course, the Taliban, they know, as well as everyone else does, that the press go gaga for royalty, so I think it was a way for them to draw additional attention to the attack.
What's the situation at Camp Bastion now? I guess security has been well and truly stepped up.
Well, I would hope it has, and they say it has. There were some pretty serious flaws in the security arrangements that allowed this kind of attack to take place. They hadn't been doing adequate patrolling. There had been attempts to sort of infiltrate the perimeter prior to the attack, and the guards who were out there that night were not properly equipped and didn't really respond to the infiltrators until they were well inside the perimeter.
It was a very interesting article in GQ that you wrote, and we thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure.